Unported, everybody. Brian Tong here, and this is my iPhone SE review. This is the new iPhone SE, and it's arguably the best value that Apple has ever packed into a product. So, I decided to just use it for a couple weeks to really see what stands out about it and some of the smaller things that you should know about this. And it's no secret, we've seen this design before. It's the iPhone 8 body with its rounded edges. It's got a 4.7-inch LCD display. It's a haptic touch display, so no 3D touch here. It's got that magical Touch ID home button, but in hand, when you first pick it up, there's just so much nostalgia to this if you're someone who's always kind of purchased iPhones over the years. And these phones have been getting bigger and bigger. I use an iPhone 11 Pro as my daily driver, but this phone, it just feels really nice in hand, just really nice. And when I first started using it as someone who's used the larger 5.8-inch screen, I really felt like I could get used to using a smaller screen, but then let's just be real. I fast forward a couple weeks later and I do really miss a larger screen. But the iPhone SE, this isn't for someone who wants a bigger display or is going for the top tier phone every year, because as tech YouTubers, I think that, look, we love reviewing the top tech. I mean, who doesn't want the best of the best? But it does feel sometimes like we're in this weird bubble to me when people don't even acknowledge that everyone can't afford a $1,000 phone every year, right? The majority of people aren't doing that. They haven't been, and they aren't especially right now. So the comments from you all in my videos around the iPhone SE really come from two vocal groups: people who want the new iPhone SE as their new phone, and then people who hate on it, and they just say, oh, it's older hardware with the latest processor. And yes, that's exactly what the iPhone SE is, and it's only $399. So that's how I'm gonna evaluate this phone, as a $399 phone, and that's why I'm just super high on it. So let's get into what it can do. And we talked about its feel. Again, it feels great in hand, but the engine that makes this phone go is the A13 Bionic processor, and there is nothing that feels slow about this phone, nothing. I've been using it for over 2 weeks. Never did I ever feel there was a time where this phone just wasn't up to speed with the current generation. And you're getting Apple's latest processor right now, and it still has a lot of headroom to last you roughly, I'd even say maybe 5 years for most users with iOS update support as well. And that's just a steal if you're spreading those phone costs over time. Now, we all know that there are Android phones at the $399 price point that honestly have some more features than this phone, but do any of them have anything even remotely close to the A13 Bionic? They just don't. So, I still personally love Touch ID. It's that split second faster for me. I've rarely had issues with it not responding to my fingerprint, but I've learned not to miss it anymore. So having it again, it was nice, but it was kind of like, hey there, a good old friend, nice to see you. But I've moved on. I'm all about the gestures and the swipes. But Touch ID here means that this phone has a home button, and sure, it felt kind of awkward at first, right? You have to kind of go back in time, relearn how to navigate the phone, swiping up to get to the control center, double tapping to get to closing apps. But that's nothing that most people have to worry about. It's only because I use an 11 Pro as my main phone, and there's just a whole lot of people that don't even want to deal with the gesture interface of the top of the line iPhones. Like my mama, hi mom, she's exactly the person that has been looking for a new iPhone, and the iPhone SE is the perfect phone for her. If you're someone who has a 6 or a 6S and you're looking to upgrade but keep Touch ID, the iPhone SE is gonna be perfect for you. If you're a parent and you're looking to buy an affordable phone for your kid or kids, this is gonna be it. And even calling this the SE, right? Apple, they were thinking, because look, the iPhone SE, the original one, it's a 4-inch phone. This is a 4.7-inch phone. They really have no relationship to each other whatsoever, physically, even design-wise, other than they still have a Touch ID home button. So, there's a lot of people who live and swear by their iPhone SE. I know them, you know them, and they're the ones who are also gonna upgrade to this model because Apple's calling it the new iPhone SE. Let's talk about this camera, and this camera is absolutely more than capable. It's a single lens 12 megapixel camera, but it is different from the XRs. It's using the same hardware from the iPhone 8, but with new software advancements. So the iPhone SE, it doesn't have the focus pixels that were in the XR, because this is honestly using a 3-year-old sensor. Instead, it's using machine learning by analyzing a 2D image to give you that portrait photo effect. And the key thing here is that portrait mode only works on human faces right now on the SE. There are third-party apps like the Halide camera app, and that app uses the camera's depth data that developers have access to and brings the portrait effect to both pets and objects in addition to faces. So it's possible that maybe Apple could bring that to the SE later with a software update, but it's not here right now. Now, this iPhone SE's camera also shoots up to 4K video at 24, 30, and 60 frames per second with optical image stabilization, slow-mo, and time-lapse. So you are still getting just a ridiculously more than capable camera in this SE. Now, another software thing, though, worth mentioning, since this is not a 3D touch display, Apple said goodbye to it, and it's still a damn shame to me, but it still uses haptic touch, which is that long press on screen that gives you different options. Well, haptic touch, it doesn't work on the lock screen for notifications to expand them. It does on other devices, but just not on the iPhone SE. There's no obvious reason for this, so this is something that could get resolved via software, but it's just worth noting. Now, the bottom of this phone, we know that it still has the Lightning connector. That's no surprise. The iPhone SE has roughly the same battery life as the iPhone 8, which is about 13 hours of video playback. It can charge up to 50% in 30 minutes with an 18-watt adapter or higher that you will have to already own or buy separately. But it also supports wireless charging at up to 7.5 watts, which will be new for many owners of the new SE, but it was there since the iPhone 8. Now, battery life is never the same for everyone depending on the type of user you are. I mean, I even use my phone less now that we're at home for most of the time, but with my normal texting, checking Twitter, taking phone calls, FaceTime calls here and there, maybe whatever else I'm doing, the battery lasted for me towards the end of the day around 10 p.m. consistently. But I know that once things get back to normal and I'm using a lot more on the go, I gotta imagine that the battery life will drop off maybe around 7 p.m., 8 p.m., or earlier, just based on how I know how often I use this when I'm on the go. And is that good enough? I mean, I guess depending on who you are. Ideally, I think that a modern phone should get you through a day, and it gets close to that, at least when I'm home, but it's just really hard when I've been absolutely spoiled by the iPhone 11 Pro's battery. Now, there will be times where the SE, it just won't get through the day without charging it in between, but I think most people's habits are used to kind of this whole trickle charge idea throughout the day. Now, the iPhone SE, it has next-gen Wi-Fi 6 support to future-proof it. Not even Apple's latest MacBook Air or a 13-inch MacBook Pro have that. So I just absolutely love that move. And also, you're getting Bluetooth 5.0. Now, we know it supports IP67 for dust and water protection up to 1 meter for 30 minutes. And yeah, you won't find a headphone jack on it. You know they weren't gonna do that, but this is the part of the video where people can comment that I need Apple to bring back the headphone jack. Okay, I'm waiting for you to finish writing that. Okay, good. Now this review, it's just not comparing the iPhone SE to the best phones out there. That's not what it's trying to be, but you stack this up, everything that this has for $399 and the power of Apple's ecosystem, if that's a priority to you, even if it isn't, this is the best value Apple has ever put in a product. Plus, I like to think of it this way. You could buy an iPhone SE, AirPods, and an Apple Watch for $759 US. And I'm not saying that everyone has that money to go out and get it, but just to get into the ecosystem at that price, it's pretty impressive. Now, I always get asked, should I get this phone? And you know what? My first question back is always, what do you want to do with your phone? That matters, because unless you want a significantly better camera experience or a larger display, the iPhone SE, this is just a no-brainer as one of my phones on my initial recommendations list for everyone. And I never thought we would actually see Apple put its latest processor into a new entry-level iPhone until they did it. And then you started this thing at $399 with an A13. That's just cray-cray. Now, this is a phone for my mom who doesn't want to learn how to use the new phone. This is for my buddy who doesn't want to break the bank but still wants an iPhone. My niece, she got an iPhone 11 last year because at the time it was the most affordable new model. If that same decision was made today, she would have absolutely gotten the iPhone SE. And when it was first announced, I said that this is not only going to be Apple's best-selling phone for 2020, but the best-selling phone out of every phone in 2020. We're going to see if that still happens, but the iPhone SE isn't just the iPhone for your grandma, it's really the iPhone for almost everyone.